I'm currently in Argentina, and I have had two situations that reminded me how good I am with figuring out how to say things. And that's one of the skills that has helped me tremendously from speaking kind of the language to being able to express myself almost fully in a language. So, if you're also learning a language and you always struggle and you feel like, okay, you can't find the vocab, you can't find the word, you can't find the way to say it, watch this video because I'm going to explain to you what is only one tips that you need, only one things that you need to do. That's going to definitely change the way you're speaking and the way you are communicating with people in another language. Here we're talking language learning, slow productivity, and creativity for people who have a lot of hobbies and get overwhelmed. And in this specific video, I'm gonna tell you the thing that I've always done, but I didn't know had such a good impact on my language learning skills. And that is very simple. The most people think ever, and then some people, they don't do it. And it's so easy to do, and it's gonna change so much. And that's simply describing. Yes, that's it. I'm done. Finish. No. Yes, describing. Okay, you're gonna be like, okay, what do you mean describing? I can't describe grammar, right? Let me break it down first. I've been taking recently Spanish class because I prepared a little bit my trip in Argentina. I'm here for almost 4 weeks, and I took two different classes, and the teacher, both of them told me that, oh, you have the vocab, but also when you don't have the vocab, you make sure the person gets what you want to say. And one of the teachers says, oh, you describe the words, you're not stuck, you're gonna find a way to communicate what you want. And then I realized also I was doing that when I was in a restaurant. I was asking about the salad and what were the ingredients, and the guy was telling me one or two ingredients. I think that was it. I even can't remember how to say it, but it's carrots. And I just didn't know what it meant. Like, I couldn't remember. Like, I was like, what is this ingredient? And I thought him, can you describe it for me, please? And then he was like, yeah, it's a bunny. And I was like, what? It's a bunny in a salad? And then I was like, no, the bunny eats. And I was like, oh, the bunny eats a carrot. It's like a game, it's a riddle. It makes the language learning process so much more fun. Well, how do you make it work with describing? First, it's something that is very useful because they will always have words that you don't know. It's impossible for you in a language to be like, I know all of the words. You will know words that are similar, or you would be able to describe words. Those are really the two ways to go about it. Either you describe it and then you will know it, or you find a word that is quite similar. But when you're starting and you don't have enough vocab, it can be very difficult. Let's say, I actually don't know how to say that in Spanish, but let's say there is a door and the handle is broken. If I want to explain to someone the handle is broken, obviously I can do this, but then this in the middle of nowhere, you're not gonna get it. So I can say the thing, like cosa, ta. So the thing that allows me to open the door is like not working, or it's just broken. So this way, if you suddenly feel stuck in, I don't know, like in the middle of the conversation, think of way how you would describe it if you literally have to explain it to a kid. What is this? It's, I don't know, if you have the speakers and you don't know how to say speakers, and you're like, okay, a thing that have music. And then it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be like, okay, what it has music. And people will give you words, and then they would explain it as well. So this is what I think, when you are learning a language, you have a basic understanding of how things are called. Then how to speed up the process, or how do you feel more fluent, or how do you feel more comfortable, is by doing that, by describing. Obviously you can mimic as well and you can explain, but if you're on the phone or in a situation where you cannot explain, like texting, that's a really great way to do it. So now I also mentioned that you can use it for grammar. Yes, you can use it for grammar. Maybe not all the time, but then, for example, if I don't know, it's very funny because in Spanish, for example, let's say you don't know how to say tomorrow, right? You can say the day after today. That's tomorrow. It's not really a grammar point. It's, yeah, but you can say, okay, a verb, and it's like, yeah, and in the past tense. You don't have to be perfect with it. You can always explain what you want to do. If you want to say, I have to do something, you can say, okay, doing something, like, oh, eating, and you can explain it in a way. I'm always thinking like it's like Japanese. Because in Japanese, sometimes you just build a grammar basically by explaining things, just weird. But if you want to say, okay, you have to do something, is okay, this, it's important, it's like, oh, very important, then you have to do it. Or it's something that you not do, and that's get very complicated, but you always have ways to explain certain situation to certain with certain nuances. You should not get stuck, and even if it's difficult, really go about it. Go and explain something with simple words. You can use also color. For example, if you want to say, I don't know, like a strawberry, you don't know how to say a strawberry, you will say like a fruit that is small and that is red. Simple. Like they might be cherry and they might be strawberry, right? You will, like, they will describe it, you will get it. So always recommend doing this method. It's gonna really help you out. For vocabs, definitely, like, you should try it out. For grammar, that is your second, let's say, your saving grace. That's like literally the thing that if you're drowning, you're gonna be able to use the describing method as a grammar. I'm telling you. So I hope that was really helpful, and that you will start practicing those little things that make such a difference. Describe everything whenever you don't find the word. Don't start switching in another language, in your native language, or don't try to switch in English. If you want to progress, switching is not gonna help you, because it's just gonna have your brain having to kind of switch from one language to another one. And if you're already in a state of flow in a language and then you can't remember the names, just go and describe the word. Like in most of the case, if it's not like a very like hypothetical concept, you will be able to explain exactly. Let's say you want to describe the net gross product, how do you call that? Gross capita country, gross domestic product. That's the word. So if you want, for example, like gross domestic product, and you don't know how to say it, which literally it was my case like a minute ago, you just describe, okay, what is the word that I'm looking for is how much richness a country produce. That's it. Like, people will figure it out. Like, even if they don't know the word, sometimes they'll be like, oh, I can't remember the word, but yeah, I know what you mean. So there's just so many ways to describe something. If you have a frame, for example, and then you're like, okay, where you put pictures in, where you put posters, or where you put painting. If you give all of those examples, then, like, people would understand what you mean. And in a lot of case, if you're talking about like an object, like a frame, it can also be used for a concept, like, okay, framing something. Yeah, I hope that was also very helpful. I know that it can be very daunting when you're learning your language, or you have to practice. I have a video on like fear and speaking another language, and how one experience can really destroy your confidence, but what you can do to boost it up. I will link the video, and I will tell you good luck with the journey, and I'll see you next time. Bye.